tonight we have, well, Starmer's new plan for change, which is basically a plan for Fabian socialism. You guys all stoked for Fabian socialism? Woo! Fabian socialism! Yay! Woo! Fuck. Mind you, shit was so bad under the Conservatives. I'm seriously asking myself, I'm like, would Fabian socialism be so bad at this point? That's how bad things are, bros. You know shit is really, really bad when you're like, Fabian socialism. Perhaps that wouldn't be so bad. A lot of good memes around this Starmer thing. I got a bunch of memes and funny videos around this to help like lessen the pain as Fabian's socialism slowly penetrates the anus of this country. Man, this place is fucked up. And if you survive this winter, you might be interested in Labour's assisted dying bill. Oh, mate. I can't afford to heat my home. Well, you know what's really, really cheap to heat? One of those suicide pods. Now, this was, in fact, the absolutely 100% real video of Starmer launching his thing. Definitely not AI. This really, really happened, bros. I swear to God. Yeah. Enjoy.
Welcome to the relaunch of the Labour Party. I'd like to thank you all for coming. I just want you all to know that I have seen the polls. Even Nigel far right is doing better than me, and I am quite frankly bricking it. So no more 22 billion black hole bollocks. No more hiding from simple questions. Here is my promise for the next 5 years.
We're here to mock.
I mean, unironically, that's not a bad description. Did I watch the entire hour-long thing? Fuck no. I already have enough brain damage. I don't need that shiz. I mean, maybe if I was trying to like work on my Starmer impression, but I think it's pretty good. I think I've got sort of the complete lifelessness down. The trick really is just not to like move your mouth in any expressive manner and just sort of basically act like you have a face stamped out of sheet metal. That's the trick, bros. If you want to try your own Starmer impression at home, you can also remove sort of parts of your brain related to emotion, empathy, that kind of like stuff. Give it a try. You can do it at home. Unless, of course, you're in the UK, you probably can't get a license for the NOIF that you would need to do home surgery. So this is just a taster. As I said, I couldn't bear to watch the whole thing. I'm sorry. I know usually that is my job, is to watch all the horrible stuff so I can clip it. But it was too boring even for people on Twitter to clip, so I couldn't find many clips of it because no one gives a shit.
1. Higher living standards in every region of the country as we target the highest sustained growth in the G7. So working people have more money in their pocket.
I just want to point out, right, that at the moment, getting the highest growth in the G7 is not terribly difficult. They're all stuck around like 0.5% or like 1%. All the economies are basically flatlining because they can't really, have a depression or anything. Everything's basically in stasis. So, good on ya. Good on you, Kier, right? Like, we might have an economy at some point in the future grow a whole like 1.5% in 1 year. Woo! Wow! Woo! Of course, inflation's probably still running like, 2-3%. Maybe even more. They love to fudge the statistics. So, I mean, good luck with that, right?
The burden of the cost of living crisis no longer intruding on the joy of their family life. 2, Britain rebuilt with 1.5 million new homes.
Sir Kier, whatever your fucking name is. How many of those houses are going to go to illegal migrants? Are you... Lots of those houses will be going to illegal migrants. Or maybe not. It looks like, the Labour Party is trying to outflank reform on immigration. They are saying words. Whether they will actually do the stuff, I don't know. We will see, bros.
So the security I enjoyed when I was growing up, the base camp aspiration of home ownership, doesn't move further and further away from working class families like mine. 3, safer streets, more police on the beat, stamping out antisocial behaviour in every community.
Oh, so here, Christopher Carrion, Newsfist, here to annoy the shit out of you. Will these police be actually solving crime, or will they be assigned to the hurty words unit? I mean, you did say antisocial behaviour. Surely hate speech is a form of antisocial behaviour. Will you be assigning 3,000 of those police officers to make sure that people are not saying hurty words on the internet? I certainly hope so. Hurty words kill, bros. Livy Drusilla thought police knocking on every door. It's wonderful. It's a whole new world. I can't wait. Look at the time. Is it 1984 already? Oh, goodness me.
Because nobody should feel insecure in the streets that they call home.
Well, thanks, Kier. I appreciate that no one should feel insecure in the streets that they call home. It would make a nice change from the last, I don't know, 5-6 years of feeling constantly unsafe. But to be fair, a lot of the reason why I've been feeling unsafe is because of the government. So, you know, if you could not, be a retard in government, that would be great. It's not looking good so far, but hope springs eternal. Bros, he's going to deliver change, bro. It's a plan. It's a plan for change. Why do they always have to use this fucking rainbow color bullshit? Well, we know why, of course, because they're all fucking like UN Sustainable Development Goal, World Economic Forum, fucking, douchebags. Oh god, this color scheme. It's not just me, is it, bros? Is that just not like vomit inducing? Oh god. It looks like something out of V for Vendetta. Honestly, right? Like, what does it say? Kickstart economic growth. Build an NHS fit for the future. Safer streets. Break down the barriers to opportunity. And what does the last one say? I can't even read it. Mass creation broadcast. It's New Britain. New Britain, guys. New Britain is just like Britain, but it's new. Shout out to Scrump Monkey. It's one of my favorite sayings of his. Is New Britain. So this is a poor BBC reporter. Actually, I don't know why I should be saying that. I think BBC reporters basically deserve every unfortunate thing that happens to them. So this is a BBC reporter standing in the cold rain somewhere outside of London, in the wasteland, waiting, for Starmer the Llama Harmer to deliver his plan for change, bros.
They sent me to all the most glamorous locations. Here I am surrounded by barbed wire. Looks like I'm about to be incarcerated for the next umpteen years. I've just stepped out of a white tent where people are clutching cardboard cups of tea and mince pies. Lots of journalists, lots of cabinet ministers and keen bean Labour MPs. It's 5 months to the day since the general election, and being here this morning feels like an election manifesto launch, except we're after the election, not before the election. So what are they doing? Yes, critics are saying it's a relaunch. To be fair to them, they've been planning a moment like this for a while. Would they do it before the budget or after the budget? They've decided to do it now. What they're doing is what a lot of governments will often do, which is set measurable targets against which they can be judged, to try and give themselves, if you like, a bit of structure for how they govern and how they prioritise. On the upside, from their perspective, it's things that they can point to if there are improvements. On the downside, maybe there aren't those improvements, and then people will say, well, hang on a minute, they were your metrics and you failed.
And Chris, given that this is 5 months into their government, why now? Why is this something that they're launching nearly half a year after coming into power?
Well, and that's a fair question, and it's a question that sceptics and critics of the government are posing. I think it's about wrestling back a sense of ownership of what they're trying to do. So in the first couple of months, they've really emphasised what they see as the tricky inheritance that they took on from the Conservatives. I think that they know that the diminishing returns kick in about blaming a previous government the longer you've been around. And then on top of that, they want to point to things that they think are really important things that voters around the UK will want to see achieved, whether that's be increasing the number of police, visible policing in the street, dealing with waiting lists in hospitals, improving the prospects for preschool children, for instance, amongst the other things. Yes, they are measurable, and
so they're going to set a bunch of targets. They're not going to know whether they hit those targets for like years. So basically, for like the next 3 years, when anyone says, oh, what you're doing is crap, they'll be like, well, we have set targets. We will have to wait and see until we see whether those targets have been met. So, great. Patriots flow to plan for stealing your change. More like, yes, yeah, indeed. I don't have any more money left to give the government. So this is it. This is the plan for change. Do you feel changified, bros? I feel the wave of change going through me, or possible acute intestinal distress. one or the other. Either way, I'm definitely going to need a bathroom because of just all the change flowing through me. So they're gonna kickstart economic growth by raising living standards, so working people have more money in their pocket. How? You're literally taxing the living shit out of everyone, and inflation is going through the roof, and the price of energy is the most expensive in the Western world. Just how? Oh, they'll probably just like magic up more fucking money, right? Like, fuck, it'll be fine. It'll be fine. Rebuilding Britain, building 1.5 million homes in England, and fast-tracking planning decisions on at least 150 major economic infrastructure projects. To be fair, some of that could actually, be all right, if it's like trains and stuff. I think the problem is that a serious chunk of those infrastructure projects are probably shit like carbon capture, windmill farms, solar farms, and all that other happy horseshit, right? If it was just like more railway lines and better highways, I would be like, okay, fair enough. Build an NHS fit for the future, end hospital backlogs. Well, you got to do something about immigration, mate, right? Like you can't keep importing insane amounts of people and reduce the NHS waiting list. It just doesn't work, right? Although it looks like they're saying they're going to do that. Whether they're actually going to do it or not, don't know. Putting police back on the beat. To police hurty words. Now, again, right, okay, I am being cynical and a bit of a douchebag, and I do not like Starmer. But if they can, actually do something about the crime, that would be pretty cool. I mean, they are on the left, so it's not like they can call them racist every single time they arrest, a black person for doing horrible stuff. And, presumably that will be a great boon, because one of the problems with the Conservatives is that every single time someone called them racist, they're just like, oh no. Just go like, yeah, whatever, like, fuck off. My God, it's 2020, it's 2025, nearly 2025. Can we please just stop acting like being called racist is like the worst thing in the world? It's happened to everyone at this point. It's basically like COVID. Everybody's had it. Just fucking like be like, yeah, whatever. Move on. You know what I mean? Drop a hard R or two. Just go about your day, right? Break down the barriers to opportunity. Giving children the best start in life, with a record 75% of 5-year-olds in England ready to learn when they start school. Well, that is fraught with problems. All kinds of problems. Immigration, of course, being a big one. There's a lot of people who are like trying to like homeschool. I don't know. I don't know enough about the school system to say how, make Britain a clean energy superpower, securing homegrown energy, protecting bill payers, and putting us on track to at least 95% clean power by 2030, while accelerating the UK to net zero. Oh, great. So everything's going to be more expensive because the electricity is going to be more expensive. Because green energy doesn't work here, because I don't know if anyone fucking told you this. England is fucking overcast as hell, right? Like, if you were Australia and you're like, we're going to run the country off solar power, you'd be like, okay, there's like a big ass fucking desert out there that you could like basically pave over with like solar panels that at least could in theory work. Not in bloody England. Texas man with the $5 N tower. Let's give Texas man some love on his N tower. Here's a walking honker for you, Texas man. Thank you very, very much, mate. So yes, the plan for change. So some people are like, why aren't you talking about immigration? He sort of has been, but it's not in the plan. On the other hand, right, like this plan was probably ready to go like a couple of months ago, right? I suspect they were probably going to like launch this, and then all the Southport stuff happened. And so, you know, they were very, very much on the back foot. You know, this is their attempt to like reset. Let's get past all the unpleasantness. Let's not talk about that dude who died in prison after we imprisoned him for like yelling at a police officer. You know, let's forget about that, right? We got a plan for change. We certainly changed the life of that one guy. Now I made myself sad.
Why no hard target on cutting net migration or even stopping the small boats crossings?
So secure borders was one of the foundations of what we set out today, alongside national security and economic stability. Secure borders, I think, is a fundamental that people should expect. We've already got to work on, you know, making sure we're removing people who don't have the right to be in this country. Big numbers, bigger numbers than we'd seen in the last year. Cracking down on gangs with the Border Security Command. You know, it is essential that we tackle this. Kier Starmer was very clear in his speech today that both illegal and legal migration has to come down.
Well, they must come down, but there's no...
Right, I mean, it has to come down. What about the people that are already here? Or are we just going to basically pretend? Are we just going to do that like sort of classic thing of be like, oh, well, it's been done now. I guess there's nothing we can do about it, right? Like, you know, Ngubu and Jamal and, you know, Hassan and Mohammed, they're just going to have to integrate. You'll be like, yeah, but they literally don't speak English, right? Like, and the ones that do speak English, I can't understand a fucking word they say. And a bunch of them are now working for government, and the NHS, which means that when you like go and interface with the government, there is a good chance that you'll be talking to someone who you literally can't understand. And then if you say that you can't understand them, you're a racist, apparently, for noticing that you can't understand them. Mikey Bikey, they're going to let them all stay. Of course they are. Mikey Bikey knows where it's at. Yeah, exactly. They're just going to be like, oh, you know, let bygones be bygones. You know, it's basically like inflation. They'll be like, oh yeah, everything's still getting more expensive, but it's getting more expensive at a slower rate than it was. Progress, bros.
No way of working out if you're anywhere near progress before the election. I mean, just on hotels housing asylum seekers, they've gone up by a net 7 since the election. So how can voters trust you on getting to grips with this big problem?
We are determined to reduce the use of hotel accommodation and bring down the cost. It's not sustainable for the taxpayer and it's not right.
Yeah, that just means you're just going to release them into general population, doesn't it? Right? They're not saying, oh yeah, we're going to send them all back. They're like, we're going to expedite the asylum process. We're just going to like let them out. It's fine, bro. It's fine. Always wanted to live between Pakistan and Jamaica, 2 countries I always had a yearning desire to visit. Fucking hell.
But what we inherited was a massive backlog of cases. I mean, the last government had just stopped processing those cases. So we're working through that. We're getting through the cases. We're making decisions. Where people don't have a right to be in this country, we will take action to remove them.
And on net migration, those numbers are huge. 1 million or so in the most recent year counted, a quadrupling, I think, in 4 years under the Tories. They certainly failed. But how can our viewers know that Labour's government will get a grip on it?
We will get a grip on it. That number is not sustainable, and we do have to bring it down. What we're not going to do is set an arbitrary figure. We saw that before under the Conservatives. Year after year, they kept saying they would...
You're not going to set an arbitrary figure. Okay, so you set an arbitrary figures for all these kinds of this other stuff, but you're not going to set an arbitrary figure for inflation, immigration. The two are bound up in my mind now. Gotcha. Sapiente, I want to live in England. Oh, racist! Oh, racist! I can't believe such racism in my chat, wanting to live in England. Don't you know England is the land of the Browns now, right? We deserve it for the sin of slavery, bros. Oh, God, right, okay, so yeah, enough of that. Now, what is quite interesting is that Labour have basically done a sort of Tony Blair maneuver. Indeed, right? Despite not listening to Tony Blair at the start of his, premiership, his commissariat, Starmer seems to have had a knock on the door from the Dark Lord, because he's now doing sort of classic Blair. And this is classic Blair, right? Classic Blair is where you pivot to the right of your opponent and deny them oxygen, right? So the right is basically like, we need less immigration, we need less immigration. This is like ridiculous, with the assumption, of course, that because the left are all like, well, anti-white scumbags, they'd be like, oh, you can't do anything about immigration. What about all the browns and stuff? But what they fail to realize, of course, is this is the left. If someone calls the left racist, they'll just be like, yeah, whatever. It's only the Conservative Party and Reform who are like, don't call me a racist. No, anything but that. Like, literally hammer nails into my eye sockets. Just don't call me racist. Oh, I'm so fucking sick of this. So this is literally the Labour Party pointing out correctly, might I add, that it was the Conservative Party that was responsible for an insane amount of inbound migration. I've covered this before. I think I stuck a video out on it. Didn't do too well, but you can get segments of this show, by the way, on YouTube if you're interested. Check it out.
We got this wrong. Mistakes were made. In particular, I'd like to thank the Home Secretary for removing the annual limits on work visas and also on international students, both of which I lobbied for. We got this
wrong. Sorry. We're sorry. Did none of you think that importing vast amounts of third worlders into the UK might have, produce any problems? No, I mean, look, do white people even have a culture? Right? It'll be fine. Oh, God. Dominic Cummings, by the way, said that Boris Johnson once said to him, open the floodgates on immigration. I want to make friends with the Financial Times. Literally, which suggests that the real motive behind this was probably to push down wages, especially after the insane amount of inflation resulting from printing all that money during COVID. If that is the case, then, that's bloody horrible. Which is worse? The Conservatives doing it because they, hate the English, or because they just want cheaper wages for their corporate backers? 6 of one, half dozen of the other. This is an exchange that took place in Parliament question time, where Starmer is basically chewing out Kemi Badenoch, who's having a bit of a hard time of it, actually, because she's had to apologise for the Conservative record on immigration. They can't call her racist because she's black and she's a woman. God, so fucking tiresome. Check it out.
Marked contrast to behaviour in the last 14 years. And she talks about immigration, record levels of immigration under the previous government, nearly 1 million net, and she was the cheerleader. She was the one urging on the removal of the caps for work visas. She was thanking the previous Home Secretary for the work that was done. She championed it, she advocated it. Record numbers of immigration. Marked contrast to behaviour in the last 14 years.
So yes, they're like, oh my God, now... the more sharp-eyed of you will have remembered where Kier Starmer basically came out and he said, immigration was like a deliberate thing. It was an open borders policy. This was deliberate policy. And more sharp-eyed of you will realise that just 6 months earlier, if you basically said that mass immigration was a deliberate policy, you get a knock on the door from the thought police. It's a bit extremist to think that. But it's only the things that are true that the government gives a shit about oppressing, obviously. So Starmer's like, these 6 milestones will let voters hold us accountable, blah, 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 blah. This is quite good from Guido Fawkes. In case you're confused, there are the foundations, the missions, the first steps, the milestones, and the pillars. Okay? Everyone got that straight? And they relate to each other in all of these different ways. But really, it's just the Fabian Manifesto, bros, is what it is. Good growth in good society, declining carbon emissions, raising living standards, narrowing regional equality, falling poverty, more affordable housing, better health, better education, a safer nation, more caring communities, greater fairness and equality. Of course, this is the big problem here, and many of these sort of things are basically self-contradictory, but, it doesn't matter. It's the Fabian Manifesto, bros. God, I hate it so much. Climate resilience. Yay, more climate resilience. Yay. God. But like I said, the Conservatives are even worse. Oh, God, come on. And we got some funny stuff to finish off. Just to wash the eye, to give you some eye bleach.
Welcome to the relaunch of the Labour Party. I'd like to thank you all for coming. I just want you all to know that I have seen the polls. Even Nigel far right is doing better than me, and I am quite frankly bricking.
Wait, didn't I already play this one? I did. I already played this one. Right. Sorry. I don't know why. This is funny.
There's nothing more to say. It's very clear to me you're a cunt. There's nothing.
I do like a bit of AI.